progress.
And in today's midway reminder, as we keep in our own mind that sometimes those thoughts might feel crunchy or kind, and whether we reset and allow all to be in a space to rewind, allow ourselves now to be in a space that is in the best of a line, not just what we've created, but where we may go, and allowing everything to feel in that ebb and flow, whether we let ourselves reflect, project, or completely in, oh, whatever comes up, allow it to be so. And in this midway reminder, allow yourself to receive all the message that have been spoken, even if they're just internally. Becoming, focus, my only goal, progress. All of this is here, and all of it allows us to be closer and connected with what else might come up, whether it be internal or vocal. Allow it to be enough to know you are the best version of at least yourself in today. And thank you, at least in today's beautiful reminder in this midway. Patience.
Integrity.
Exhale. And as we complete the 10 minutes this morning, allowing ourselves to give that last couple seconds, at least in our adoring, of what we've given to ourselves and created with others, allowing everything to feel self and have us fully discover that we can return here at any time we please when we give ourselves that stillness and that breath as we ease, not just in our minds, but in the world we create. And now we open up for reciprocity if we do take just a few moments more to be present to what we hear and also what we want to express with vocals of cheer. And even if it's not cheer, allow it to be true. For in this community that we create, it stems a true virtue of what we reflect and what we continue to see before we continue on with our daily practice with so much play and so much glee.
Yeah, during today's meditation, I was thinking about what someone told me yesterday, that sometimes I come off as too teachy. Tongue in cheek. So I looked at this beautiful, wonderful person and I said, really? Okay. And I was wondering to myself a couple of things. I was asking myself, what am I feeling right now? And is it justified? And is it just from the past, right? Have I been triggered? I paused. But what came out of my mouth was, why don't you ask someone else how I show up? I became defensive. And how do you think that landed to the other person? So I thought to myself, rather than being defensive, maybe there's an opportunity there to create something, to rejuvenate this relationship. Maybe there's something in this relationship that might be missing. Maybe there's communication. Maybe there's love. Maybe there's empathy that's missing. Maybe there's understanding. Yes, I know what it is. Okay. Unconditional acceptance. Right. So when I listen to this person, and you do listen to this person this way, because that's what I've noticed my default in the past is. This is the pattern that Tony Robbins talks about, right? And this is also called the already always that Landmark talks about. And the way I listen to this person is this. There are some conditions that you can work on that'll make you better. There are some things that you can do to become a better person, to improve yourself, that sort of thing. And as I was thinking about, how I listen to this person, even though the words weren't verbalized in my brain or through my mouth, that sounded really teachy. So if I'm listening to this person in a teachy manner, how am I going to show up for this person when I talk and when I communicate? I'm going to show up the way I'm listening.
Beautiful, Sammy. Thank you so much for sharing. This is all resonating with me so much, man. I wanted to say a few words. Well, for one, you mentioned something that immediately stuck out in my head when you said that you're creating this mindset, or you created something. And when I'm thinking about this, when I felt it, when we sat in silence for 10 minutes, I realized that so much of our inner dialogue and our beliefs are co-created, and it's co-created with something like a divine force, and it really gets us realizing what it is that we're truly meant for, and what we're truly meant for in a different moment's notice can mean something entirely different depending on when it is. But either way, there's a hidden message behind it. And for me, after this call, I want to go on a walk really badly, like outside. It's beautiful out. But I know that doing that is me putting off starting my work for the day. So it's like I have to decide, is this a message that I should go outside, or should I stay inside, do work, and then go outside later? Or if I go outside, will I know that I will be more focused when I start my day? So it's like all of these things are co-created with the divine, and I just have to let it in. Don't resist it. Just take it in.
So,
Sammy,
yeah, go ahead.
honey, what if you're teachy? So what? Why did that mean anything? Maybe you are. Maybe you're not. Doesn't matter. Just asking.
Okay.
We are what we are, but in the space of trying to show up in a way that's effective in not only transforming myself, but transforming others, or at least lifting them up to a higher level than they're at. Because I can't expect perfection in others. You're going to listen to what I do and do it because people aren't like that. And it's like I find the more I attempt to do that, it's like the more resistance there is. And I'm teachy. I claim that. Vic, hey, I'm teachy. But if I'm not showing up at a level of energy that people can relate to, or if I'm just coming in as the teacher, it's like they're going to resist that. And so it's kind of, Tony Robbins talks about matching energy levels of people you're interacting with. And I think that's a very important truth that we just don't seem to understand, because we want to show up. We're just going to be our authentic selves and people can take me or leave me. And it's like, well, we can, and then people will take us or leave us. But, if we try to get down to their level and ask the divine, what can I add here to lift them up? To maybe sow a seed of motivation that will get them to do the next thing they need to do, to get them out of that state of inactivity and stupor and the pit that they may be in. And it's like, yeah, show up, and if they call me teachy, okay, well, then I need to adjust my energy level down and come across a little less that way. But still, I want to teach. That's the goal. I want to motivate. That's the goal. But I want to be effective too. So that really resonates with me today for some reason, Sammy. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you. I feel confused on authenticity, because I always assume that our authentic selves are our true selves, our divine selves, not I'll show up however I want, you got to accept me. I'll do what I want, say what I want. So I'm confused about that, how you were saying that, Steve, because I think authentic would be to show up as the person who's intentional, mindful, that if people don't request something, it's not the time to teach. If I want something, like my only goal today is my thing, is my only goal, and that's God, and my highest self, my most authentic self. And that's forgiveness. And I have to forgive myself first for thinking people are broken, thinking they need to hear this, thinking I got to be the one to tell them. I learned in 12 steps that it's like, does it need to be said? Does it need to be said by me? And does it need to be said now? And those three questions have been so important. And I'm not the one asking those questions. That's the other thing, is that I'm guided by those questions. They're not my questions. They're questions posed to me. So I just feel confused when people say, be authentic. I'm like a soldier straightening my spine or something. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to stand in my divinity. I want to stand in my glory and my grace and my love and my forgiveness. So I don't understand authentic.
Well, I'm not so sure about the authentic, but the thing that resonated with me was, in what terms of what you said, Josine, was like, wait for them to ask the question, because at that point they're ready for something, and then you have wisdom to offer. I have wisdom to offer. But if I'm just throwing it out on the table and they're not ready for it, then it's just almost inoculating them against it, as it were.
I also learned that if they're asking the question, this is with young people particularly, if they ask the question, to say to them, wow, how'd you come up with that? Because to even ask the question, you had to be thinking about it. And they probably have a good idea of what it is, probably more so than I do. And to go for their wisdom.
Well, and that's creating a connection there by going deeper with them. And that's beautiful stuff. I mean, that's what we want to do. We want to create these loving, energetic connections, with people. And we all want to be.
I want to push people away. I mean, people think authentic self is, okay, you can't be in my circle of friends because of 5 people around me, or whatever Tony Robbins says, describes who you are. Well, then you can't be my friend because you're too teachy, or you're too this, or you're too that. So I don't even know what I want. That's where I want to be guided, because I don't even know what I really want. I don't even know the question. I think the question is this, and then the problem is this, and then I'm looking for this kind of answer. And when I get an answer, a guided answer, it's like, that's not the right answer. That doesn't help, because I'm in the wrong question, because I don't even know what the question is. I think it's a question of, well, they did this to me, so therefore something's got to happen around them. And it's like, it's beyond that.
Well, I think for me personally, what it means for me to be myself and what it means for me to be authentic are two completely different things. For me to be myself, that is me following my ultimate purpose for myself. And that purpose is being reconciled in the balance between order and chaos every single day of my waking life. And this is something that is very, very hard to discern, like what is best. But when I'm able to see my life in front of me on Notion, it has completely transformed my way of being, my way of living, really. And I can see everything in front of me, and I see everything that I'm manifesting with the divine. And this has shaped me in so many ways and will take me to so many high altitudes that I can't even begin to express the level of meaning it has. So when I ask myself, am I really being authentic to myself? I don't even need to answer the question, because I am proving it to myself. I'm proving it with my actions, and I'm proving it in the service to others and in the way that the divine and other people reward me. So that is how I know that I am being my true self.
I love the idea of co-creating with the divine. It's like love coming into me and love going out through me, and just being in that frequency of love, that high energy frequency, which is the 528 frequency. Those who measured it say that that's a harmonic frequency we all play when we receive and manifest love. And that's co-creating with divinity, and that's manifesting divinity. It's like that's the peak state, which we all, whether we know it or not, want to move toward and be in. And I yeah, love it. Thank you. Yeah.
This is so great. Thank
Blessings.
you all, because it's really having me think about a couple of things. You know, what does it mean to be authentic? You know, I have it, and that, you know, being authentic is like what you said, Sammy. Like you said your response was what your response was, but what you were actually doing was being defensive. So being authentic would have been to say, I feel defensive now that you said that, right? If you chose to say that. And then again, I'm like, oh my God, I love the, does it need to be said now? Is it me? I'm like, oh, I love it. Then the other thing that I was just thinking of that came up was somebody said this to me, and they said sometimes it's the 3 H's. Does the person want to be hugged? Do they want to be heard? Or do they want to be helped? And if you operate from that, I mean, especially like as a female, for me, it's like, I don't know if you guys know that scene where the woman has the nail in her head and she's complaining. I'll post it. It's really funny. But she's like, I just want you to be with what I'm saying. And my head is pounding. And he's like, maybe. Anyway, it's like sometimes you just want to be held, hugged, you know, you just, you know, or you want to be heard. I want to say what it is that I want to say. I don't need you to fix it. There's nothing wrong. And sometimes it's help me. So that's what came up. 3 H's. Thank you.
Thank you. So
Blessings and peace. Blessings and peace. Thank you for sharing.
curious, Derek, in the last 2 minutes, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I've got my understanding is that the word authentic or authenticity was actually not used very much in the United States or the English speaking world until Landmark actually kind of popularized this word quite a bit in the 1970s. So why do we use this word so much? My understanding is that Landmark actually popularized it through specifically Landmark. Where Landmark uses it is instead of using the word authenticity to lead, Landmark uses the word inauthenticity to lead, which is to say, Landmark asks you, where are you being inauthentic? And what they are getting to there is, where are you putting on a front? Where is your racket saying something that's not really how it is? Where is your looking good and avoiding looking bad saying something that's not really how it is? And that if you strip away all these ways in which you might be putting on a front, well, then what would you say? And there's no real Landmarks, I think, postulates that there's no real answer there, that you're now going to come up with something besides your pretenses. And what's that going to look like? And then once you get that and you come from that place and you say something, people will say, oh my gosh, that's so authentic. And we've all kind of seen it, what that looks like. And that's inauthenticity. But then once Landmark popularized the word, Now it's leaked out into culture, and now everybody uses the word, and a lot of people use the word outside the context of what Landmark created.
Thank you, Derek.
Levi was asking what Landmark is, but he's gone.
I would love to bring Sammy forward in that. And Derek, thank you so much. Have a great weekday.
I'm back.
Thank you, Derek.
See ya. Bye.
So,
Hi.
so Levi, you were asking about Landmark?
Yeah.
So Landmark is a personal development educational program. Tony Robbins has a personal development educational program. So he has seminars. Landmark has seminars. The foundation of the education is the Landmark Forum, which is about 3 to 4 days. I don't remember. Last time I took it was in 2000. And Landmark, after Landmark, I felt myself transformed into a person who is more freely self-expressed. I'm able to express myself more freely. Why? Because I noticed what was going on with me inside. One of the things that was concerning me was this. Am I looking good in front of people? That was probably the most important thing for me, is that I need to look good. Levi, when I gave that up, I wasn't afraid. I mean, the human part of me, right? Every once in a while, it'll show up where I need to look good. I need to be, acknowledged. I need to be admired. That's a big thing with all human beings, by the way, is that we all want to be admired. There's this innate thing. If we're admired, then we're accepted and then we're loved. And as human beings, we need to be loved in order to be safe. A long time ago, we could go back to the hunter-gatherers. If you're not loved, you're out of the tribe and you're going to die because you can't do it on your own. you know so giving stuff up in
Who
my
decides you're out of the tribe?
what's that?
Who decides you're out of the tribe? I mean, I think it's really rare where everyone in the tribe would not love you. I think there's some leader deciding, we no longer want your type around here. So it's kind of not compassion. It's you're out of the tribe because you can't walk fast enough. That's what happens sometimes with elders. They're left behind.
Yeah.
In native for these lands. That can happen. But it's interesting again with this authenticity. I'm very outspoken, but not around my family because my family would kick me out of the tribe. They already have. They just don't like who I am. They want me to have a partner because I'm not good until I'm married. So I have to show up with a partner. Otherwise, I'm a threat as a single woman. Just weird stuff like that. So I can't be my authentic self around them. And when I went to Landmark, they told me, well, look at how you're showing up. Like they kind of blame me, which compassion is telling a person that they're doing something that is offensive or whatever to somebody else. Yeah. But when you're being offended, this is where I get confused. It's like they'll outright say to me, you can't wear that to a wedding. Look at your hair. I was wearing traditional clothing and they were like, which were dress up clothing, really expensive clothing. And they said it was wrong. It was a long dress. They wanted a long dress. They wanted this, that, and I was wrong. So it's confusing for me. It's like, I don't think I'm making them wrong. And Landmark was trying to kind of hold that out, like I'm the problem. It felt like when I got up in front of the group and they did a session with me. And I got so much out of Landmark, but that part was confusing me around my family. And so that's why I was talking about Dion the other day and how he said, you didn't make me, you can't break me, and those kind of things. It's like, they they aren't what shaped me, and that's why I'm different from them, because I didn't shape on their decisions, their thoughts, their beliefs. I went out into the world and got different ones and was bringing them back, and they didn't like that. I don't drink, they don't like that. Because I don't serve alcohol at my parties, I'm wrong. You know, just stuff like that.
Beautiful. Blessings. Peace.
You know, Josie, one of the things I learned, one of the experiences I had was, and this started as a seed and then grew, especially with the Ho'oponopono practice, right? It's taking responsibility, even though I don't need to. Taking responsibility for my experience, and I know it's a choice. Taking responsibility for my experience of another person. And some people, especially those who would, you know, like to take advantage, and there are people who do like to take advantage because of what they're doing, would say, well, no matter what I do, whatever you're feeling is your choice. So you're responsible, you're feeling. So I get to do whatever I want. I get to get away with all kinds of crap because you know what? Your experience is your responsibility. And you know, when I listen to that kind of conversation, I'm like, well, thank you for sharing. You're that's it. So
Are you authentic when you say thank you for sharing?
thank you. Bless your soul, right? Bless your heart.
Yeah, bless your heart.
God bless your heart, right? I know who you are to me now. I get it. I know who you are to me. It's clear to me the way you're being. That's not going to impact how much I love myself. That's not going to impact who I believe I am. That's not going to impact who I say I am. Whatever you think of me is up to you. However, you're listening to me is up to you. People are going to listen to me in different ways. I think I discovered that this morning. My partner is going to listen to me in a different way. And as we evolve into a relationship, the listening is going to change. It always does. And there's an opportunity there. As the relationship develops and progresses, what is our listening of each other? Especially in family. My goodness, with siblings, it's like, what is my listening of my brother? All right, really? You want to know the honest truth? This kid can't take care of himself. This kid can't take care of himself, you know? And that listening of him, how does he occur to me? He occurs to me as this kid can't take care of himself. And when he shows up and he expresses himself, he's defending himself because he knows how I'm listening to him. He knows. Now, if I see him and I create him in my head as, you know what, this is temporary, this is a pattern, he's developing and he's growing. And all I need to do is ask, hey, would you like some coaching? Would you like some support? And see him as a potential for something great, something that I already see in him. I don't want to say greater because it does take unconditional acceptance. It does take unconditional love. Like, you know what? I'm not going to be attached to what I think you should do because I feel that's going to make me feel better. Your life is your life, you know, but I'm here for support. So if you have any goals, aspirations, I'm here for you. If you don't, I'm here for you. I'm here for you.
But isn't that kind of like the tribe where you get kicked out again? Because, okay, I can't take care of myself. I have a 7-bedroom, 3-bath home, right? I live in Kenwood, you know. I have the, you know, this is all being recorded. Don't anyone track me down.
That's right. We are being recorded.
Dang, shang-a-lang. But you know what I'm saying? I look well-to-do, but I can't take care of myself. I need others. I cannot take care of myself. I need Tony Robinson. I need Landmark. I need, you know, all the others of that. So, but I love your part about offering yourself, because I don't have people that necessarily come up. I'm a seeker, and that word is said by a lot of people because we have to go out and find it. It's often not offered to us. It's not people who knock on your door and say, they ask for money. They don't say, hey, would you like a prayer? Some do, but it isn't often offered to us. So I love, Sammy, that your heart and the offer to your brother that you have.
You know, when I see him, I see myself. You know, right? All these things that I want him to be, maybe just maybe, it's because there are some things in my life that I'm not complete with. Maybe just me.
You're looking for help too. And I'm
Say that
looking
What?
again.
I said, you're looking for help too, and I'm looking for help. We're all looking for help. You
We're
wanna
here to help
continue?
each other.
Oh
That's
my God, that's so beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. In my desire to contribute to another person's life, what I want is on the backside, hey, can someone help me out here?
Mm-hmm. Anybody?
Anyone?
Where'd they all go?
So good. And as this is all opening up, David, I'd love to additionally featuring or Samira.
David's in his car.
Yeah, but so the words that came to mind today were, okay, let's see if I can think of them again. I'm trying to for some reason the word judgment and expectations came up for me. I'm trying to get, it's like I'm realizing more where I'm judging, and then I feel like it comes from a point of I feel that I am always being judged. So I'm trying to get away from that. And that goes along with the expectations of like who someone else should be or who I should be, and understanding that like yeah, we can all be on the same, we're all in life, but we're all on different journeys and we're all working towards different things. Like I can't change someone's ideas. Like I can't teach someone that doesn't want to be taught, even if I want to teach. But you know, that becomes hard for me because it's like I want to teach you what I know and what I'm learning, but if it's like trying to get the message to the right person, like it's like I see the person in front of me as the person I want to give the message to, but that person doesn't want to hear me, or that person wants to take what I'm saying as like a judgment. And then in the end, it does become a judgment because it's like that's how I am viewing them, and I see a change is needed rather than just being that love and support and trying to help someone get on the path of growth maybe without an expectation of anything, and knowing that just staying strong in my intentions. um it's so I know I really need to get away from judgment. One time the other week, I was when we were going to get that damn chair, I was with my wife, and I had said something about someone, and then she just said something to me, and she's like, well, aren't you judging? And it's like, I can clearly see where I was judging this other person that I don't even know at all. And I don't know. I gotta get over that. It's, it brings me back to this story of this guy at the car dealership when I was working at Ford. He was telling me this story about this one guy who came in. He looked like a complete bum. He looked 100% like, raggedy, came in, did not look like anyone who could afford anything. But this, it was a story this car salesman was telling me. And he said that you just treating everyone the same, like, not that, oh, this person comes in, they look like they don't have money and they can't do anything. This guy came in, nobody in the dealership, I guess, wanted to work with him. And then all of a sudden, the guy I was talking to had went up to him and he started having a conversation. And by the end of this, the guy left the dealership with a brand new vehicle and paid all cash for like a $70,000 vehicle. And this guy looked like he couldn't afford a pair of pants or a shirt. Like, he was actually, there's a real estate agency here, and that guy was the owner. Like, he was building this. So he came in this like super old Bronco, and it was falling apart. And it's just like the idea that, we judge people so easily, and I know I do, but I feel like it comes from a sense of feeling that I am always judged, so maybe I'm doing the same to others, and just getting over that shit because it's so simple to say, oh, well, I'm not going to judge someone, and then someone walks by. It doesn't matter if it's from like any perspective of how you would judge someone, but it's just getting over that and realizing that, it's like we all have our faults. We all see things in so many different ways, and it's it's just growing and, like, I guess, love, compassion, understanding, and knowing that, like, I guess, finding the right words and not just assuming things. Um, yeah, I gotta go pick up Jax, but I'm here.
Beautiful. Thank you, David. There's a
Sweet,
lot
David.
to unpack there, and you really hit me in a couple places, especially when you were talking about judgment. And a lot of times the things we say to ourselves about someone else is just a reflection on our own shortcomings, or some narrative that we've pushed for ourselves, either previously in the past or even in the present. And I think if you can recognize that, then you can really feel the love and compassion for that person, rather than feeling so much hate or envy or whatever it is. And I think that's ultimately the level of peace that I aspire to feel, and I want to be able to let go of all the baggage that is associated with the judgments that I make, and still continue to make with other people, because it's a habit, and it's something that I'm willing to admit that I still struggle with, but I'm becoming more and more aware of it. And I know that, um, God willing, things will improve for me, and I want the same for everyone else, even people who have wronged me. So if I can feel this level of compassion for the universe, then this is something that I really want to manifest.
This is so good. I am just amazed by this discussion today. And I just want to go back and underline something Samira said about the 3 H's. You know, when we show up for people, often we have our own agenda with that person and we're going to pursue it. And it's like, if we could show up in the energy of waiting to see what their energy is and what they need, you know, and a big part of that is not showing up in judgment, obviously, because as soon as we judge them, then they feel belittled and they feel small, and then they're going to employ their defense mechanisms to defend themselves, and pretty soon we're in a conflict. So let's just get rid of the whole judgment thing, like David's telling us, you know, and it's like, yeah, set it aside. And the first step to doing that is just the awareness that we're talking about today. Hey, I do that. And I do that. You know, it's like I'll be out in the community and I'm judging someone. I say, what? What's this? Just get rid of that. You know, I don't need to think that way to make myself better at someone else's expense. You know, it's just no judgments. And it's like, that's just so beautiful. But getting back to what Samira said, you know, showing up, if a person's wanting to be hugged, then we can hug them. If they're wanting to be heard, which is the way most people show up, yeah, then let's hear them. And that's hard for us, especially for teachers, Sammy, right? It's like, I got to teach you something. This is what you need to hear. Oh, I want to be heard. I want to be understood. No, you need to hear this and do this. I want to be understood, for God's sake. No, you need to be taught. Well, then you're saying there's something wrong with me. You're judging me. You know, that goes nowhere. That's discongruent energy. So when we come in with the energy of love, it's like we could actually lift people up. And if I listen to someone, then they may ask me for a suggestion about, well, what do you think I should do here? And at that point, teachable moment. Oh, yeah, the aha moment. It's like they're ready to receive. If we've got some loving wisdom to impart, then they're ready to receive it. But it reminds me of the old thing that I've heard a number of times. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So true. You know, just that should be a mantra in our lives. People don't care how much we know until they know how much we care. So we got to meet them at the level of love, you know, patience, kindness, forgiveness, understanding, listening. And then that's where we become co-creators with the divine and creating love, you know, and that's just exciting work. And I always, whenever I am enabled to be a part of that and my judgments aren't keeping me from it, it's just so cool.
Thank
No,
you.
that was really great, Steve. I just want to say one thing that came up in that is that, you know, wisdom isn't something that people get from you telling them, from me saying. Wisdom is something that is experienced. You know, I'm thinking about my son. You know, he always, it's kind of chilly for me, so I'd be like, oh, you got to put your jacket on. You got to put your jacket on. He's like, no. He wore shorts and a t-shirt for 2 years. It didn't matter if it was raining. It didn't matter how cold it was. And I was like, okay, well, if you're cold, you'll put something on. If you're not, you're not. I'm not going to make you wear something because I'm feeling it. And that gave him ultimately the experience of, hey, you know, it's kind of cold. Not because I said so, not because mommy told me I need to have the jacket. So that's what came up. It's like, you know, when we want to contribute to others, which is basically like what I'm hearing is, you know, there's the desire to be a contribution. Sometimes that contribution is to just allow that person, that being, to just be however they are and however they're not. And that person includes me, for me. Sometimes I'm judgy, sometimes I'm not. I'm human. If I was an octopus, I'd be an octopus all the time.
It's a shape changer,
There you go. Shape
color
changer.
change,
Oh my God, I'm
color
so in love
changer,
with
everything.
octopus. Oh, okay. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you for that, Rose. And to answer the question that was in the chat, and feel free to clarify, Samira, when you had mentioned the 3 H's, you had said hug, you said hear, and then you said help. Were those the 3 H's that you had signified?
Yes. Sometimes you want to be hugged, you want to be heard, or you want to be helped.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Well, with the love languages, I've added more, and I teach a little workshop on worry is a love language. I joke around because people seem to care through worry, like call me when you get home, I want to know you're safe, and stuff like that. But knowing is a love language, knowing. And it's the knowing and the knowledge of their divinity, and just seeing them as the child of God or of stardust, or in their sinlessness, is what I said to Levi around that. Sin is just this cover for the illusion of life. You know, we see everything as a sin. People are sinning against us. They don't do what we want. They're bad. We have to leave. The tribe has to leave them behind. But I always say that the weakest link is the strength of the tribe, because when you can attend to that, where people are feeling weak, even though you know they are not, because they're part of your tribe, that's the attention. So attention is another love language, and listening.
Yeah.
Listening is a beautiful one. And here we are listening.
Thank you for that, Josine. It's funny as everything keeps opening up in today. I mean, it even started the 10 minutes prior to this. We often have another community that meets called the Morning Rush. And what I got out of a lot of what I meditated on is how often, yes, it feels like there's almost a drive to reach out to people when you want something, when you need to give something, when you have this knowing that there's something outside of what you're creating. And it was interesting because I remember the first time I ever created what they call a list of 100. And it was actually, I call it an accident. There's a gentleman named John Maxwell, and he wrote this book about the 15 invaluable laws of growth. And week 3, he had us write down 100 characteristics that you really resonate. And I remember telling my mentor about it. And outside of that, which was the week of the mirror, he was very fascinated because leaders are readers. And at least with that, one of the exercises that was generated was for every one of the 100 words that I saw as a mirror for myself, write someone who was significant next to it. And it was interesting because in the morning rush, we did breakout rooms and no one came to my room. And so I sat there with this list of 100 people who mirrored qualities in myself. And I just, morning, Jen. And I just recognized that so many people that I wrote down, I now reach out to more intimately because there is no need to get something out except to let them know what they've shared in myself that I then thought of them. And so thank you so much for this 10 minutes in the morning, because I get that there's this sense that when you are becoming, you really are the being who is reflecting and receiving whatever you're willing to have in that space. And everything you were saying, like actually, as soon as I came back to the room, the first person I saw was Levi. I literally feel like I met yesterday, and he was just a beacon, and just all your energy right now too. Because I find so often in what everyone is sharing is how often when we are connecting with others, to reflect that the reason we're even in that connection is whether we're feeling teachy or we feel like we want to be taught, whether we want to be in a space to be heard, hugged, or helped, that we never forget that the other person in front of us is a miracle. And I'm so grateful because I never know what's going to open up in these meditations, and just everything you've shared. Levi, I hope that when you do go on that walk, it inspires you to share that with someone who really comes to mind and gives you that virtue that you're outside to enhance the feeling of the walk. And so in my mind, I was like, why not have both? Anyway, I love everything that came out of today's conversation. And I would love in the last minute we have, if everyone would, in full declaration, maybe share one word or two before we continue to spin off into whatever else we get to create in today's beautiful point of view. And Jen, you can fully participate as well. I know you're here for office hours, so we'll hop in right afterwards. I'm going to say truth.
Effervescence.
Non-duality.
I'm going with playful.
Love. Good old love.
Forgiveness.
Daily improvements.
And in closing today's practice, welcoming everything that has been shared and everything that is still out there intentionally, full aware that it is not only supported, it is felt. And as we continue, not just in our actions and our conversations that will so often melt into us remembering, recycling, reforming, and reconditioning ourselves to know we are the best versions of ourselves, I would love to know who amongst us within the next 12 hours can be part of Sammy's guided meditation this evening, or in the next 24 hours for another intentional word revealing. Heck yeah! I love you all so, so much. I am going to start my office hours, although for everyone, thank you so much for being part of today's unwinding, unfolding, and revealing of who we really are, at least in this morning of our group meditation.
Blessings and peace. Blessings and peace.
Love you all.
Thank you all.
Bye, everyone.